We got we got mail. We got mail. Come on in here and see my mail. You know you want to see my mail because we got. I can't hear you. What we got? Book mail. Hi friends, welcome back to Shelby in the Book Club. I am Shelby Monet and I have bought some more books. But I also just received some publisher mail, so I wanted to show you guys the 2 books that I got from that, and then I'll show you everything else that I bought. And I think that's it. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. Let's make sure we like, comment, share, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into these books, friends. Okay, friends. So I'm going to start with the first 2 books that I got from Astra House. First is a translated work. This is Rainbow by Pedro Cabilla, I believe it is. It is about a boy who he's 10 years old in Santo Domingo. He is trying to find the truth behind his father's murder 11 years before. Very interested. It's a tiny book. I want to read more translated work. This sounds really good. I'm super excited. Then we have Shigidi and the Brass Head of Obalufon, which is about the god Shigidi. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. He is the god of nightmares, but he does not have many believers. So he links up with the succubus. I'm very excited to read this. Like, so excited to read this. When this came in the mail, it took everything in me not to stop what I was reading to read this. It's high up on my list of things. The rest of these I bought. They're in no particular order. I have The Fraud by Zadie Smith. This will be my first Zadie Smith work. I think I have her other books around here somewhere. And I know a lot of people absolutely love her. So it says it is 1873. Mrs. Elijah Touche is a Scottish housekeeper and cousin by marriage of a famous novelist now in decline, William Ainsworth, with whom she has lived for 30 years. Mrs. Touche is a woman of many interests: literature, justice, abolitionism, class, her cousin, his wives, this life and the next. But she is also skeptical. She suspects her cousin of having no talent, his successful friend, Mr. Charles Dickens, of being a bully and a moralist, and England of being a land of facades in which nothing is quite what it seems. Andrew Bogue, meanwhile, grew up enslaved on the Hope Plantation, Jamaica. He knows every lump of sugar comes at the cost of a human, that the rich deceive the poor, and that people are more easily manipulated than they realize. When Bogue finds himself in London, start witness in a celebrated case of imposture, he knows his future depends on telling the right story. The Tichborne Trail, wherein a lower class butcher from Australia claimed he was in fact the rightful heir of a sizable estate, and the title captivates Mrs. Touche in all of England, is, I said trail, I meant trial, sorry. Is Sir Roger Tichborne really who he says he is, or is he a fraud? Mrs. Touche is a woman of the world. Mr. Bogue is no fool, but in a world of hypocrisy and self-deception, deciding what is real proves a complicated task. Based on real historical events, The Fraud is a dazzling novel about truth and fiction, Jamaica and Britain, fraudulence and authenticity, and the mystery of other people, quote unquote. It sounds really good. I haven't heard many bad things about Zadie Smith. From my experience, I will say that sometimes I struggle with the way that Caribbean authors tell stories. It's not that the story is bad, but there is something to their writing that always kind of slips me up. So I'm curious about how I will enjoy that. We gonna save the big boy for last because I got words. Next, we have No Better Time by Sheila Williams. So I watched Masters of the Air on Apple TV and absolutely loved it. And now I would like to consume all of the World War II stuff. That just is what it is. This is a novel of the spirited women of the 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion. There was a point in my life where I could not say the word battalion. I would say battalion. Anyway, many Americans know of the tumultuous events of World War II, but few know of the 6888, a multi-ethnic, now I'm about to say it wrong, battalion that was predominantly African American, included women of Caribbean, Puerto Rican, and Mexican heritage. In the wake of the attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, Dorothy Tom, a Spelman graduate librarian and Francophile, joins the Women's Army Corps, wanting to do her part for the war effort. Longing for adventure, she has one question for the recruiter: do you think I'll get to go abroad? As Dorothy and her sister WACs discover, life in the Army is an adventure filled with unexpected deprivations and culture shock. Women from all levels of society, secretaries, teachers, and sharecroppers work together to navigate a military segregated by race and gender. At boot camp, the colored girls are separated for processing. At Fort Riley, the women's barracks are rustic and heated by coal-burning potbelly stoves, while German POWs spend their incarceration in buildings with central heat and hot water. Another little tiny book. They always pack a punch. I will say about the Masters of Air, if you have not watched that show, you should watch the show. I think it did a very good job at telling history that we may not know. It also did a very good job at showing the disparities between the airmen and the Tuskegee Airmen, who we wouldn't have won the war without. Keep that in mind. They should have done more showing the Tuskegee Airmen, but I understand why they didn't, because it gave them the opportunity to show what the racism actually looked like. And also, them babies, baby, when I tell you they were sending anybody to damn war, them babies didn't know nothing but how to read the damn Farmer's Almanac and to plant some corn. And they were sending them to war, to fly planes. Them babies wasn't driving cars. They was driving tractors. How they gonna drive a plane? Fly a plane? Oh, in hell. It's an amazing show. Next, which I'm currently reading, is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. This is the story of two sisters who knew nothing about each other, but their family lineages kind of go in the very opposite direction. It starts in the 18th century. One sister, her line stays in Africa, whereas the other sister ends up being sold into slavery, and therefore her line ends up in America. You will be seeing a review video for this. I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of comparisons. I'm enjoying it so far, and it's not a hard read either. Next, per the recommendation of one of you guys, I don't remember who it was, but thank you. I got Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. I mentioned in the last, I want to say it was the last book haul video that I did, that I wanted to read more on Margaret Atwood, and this was suggested to me. So this says it is 1843, and Grace Marks has been convicted for her involvement in the vicious murders of her employer, Thomas Kinnear, and Nancy Montgomery, his housekeeper and mistress. Some believe Grace is innocent. Others think her evil or insane. Now serving a life sentence, she claims to have no memory of the murders. An up-and-coming expert in the field of mental illness is engaged by a group of reformers and spiritualists who seek a pardon for her. He listens to her story while bringing her closer and closer to the day she cannot remember. What will he find in attempting to unlock her memories? Is Grace a bloodthirsty criminal or a victim of circumstance? Based on an actual case, Alias Grace is captivating. disturbing, and unforgettable novel that showcases Margaret Atwood at the peak of her powers. It sounds interesting. It's high up on my list too. So we'll see. I will report back and let y'all know what all it is I think. Now, I have saved the big boy for last. Y'all have probably seen a whole bunch about this book. Y'all have probably read it already because I know a lot of you that follow me do read fantasy already. I am in the mood for fantasy. I don't know what made me pick up an 1,000-page fantasy of all the things. But I did. And I'm going to be very upset. Very upset if I read this and it's not good. I also will say, I believe everybody has started talking about this again because the last book in the series comes out at the end of this year. I have to double check that, but I think that's why it's kind of become a thing. And I mean, people have raved about it. They say that like once you get into it, it doesn't feel as long as it is. So yeah, I got The Way of the Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Y'all know how I feel about real long books. It don't be my jam, but I'm gonna try because I heard that it's really good, and I'm in the mood for something that's like long and expansive and good world building and all that kind of stuff. And apparently he's a professor where he is teaching those things to people, so I'm hoping it doesn't drive me insane, but we shall see. But that is all of the books that I got. Thank you to the publishers that sent me books. Y'all are truly appreciated. Continue sending things to my house. Thank you very much. Everything that I posted will be listed below if you guys would like to purchase and support me. I will have them in my Amazon storefront. They'll be linked down below. And without further ado, if no one has told you today, I love you. You are kind. You are smart. You are important. Bye, friends.